What's going on, everybody? Should be live. Make everybody check in and ask where you're coming from. Matt is not with us tonight. He messaged me just not too long ago, and oops, I need to fix my audio. That should be fixed on the audio side. Sorry about that. Matt texted me not too long ago, and he is not feeling well. So we're solo tonight, and that means that I ended up having to, or I should have figured out something to talk about specifically, but I didn't because I didn't really plan that out all that far in advance. So tonight, probably not going to be as long. I will still be giving Rich from Horizon a shout, and we'll discuss a little bit. We haven't had him on since the initial release of the SCX6, so be good to have him on, chat about that a little bit, because that was a fun truck, and it just all kind of happened at one time with that happening and our release, and then me being out of town a couple of weeks in a row. But hopefully we can get him on for a little bit. So hopefully everyone check in. Oh yeah, check in where you're watching from and what battery charger you're using. It was a topic of discussion today, so thought that we would do that. Matt and I were also talking about doing our Christmas list week this week, doing it a week in advance of, Black Friday and all that. But that's probably hold off on that because, and I will be gone next week. I will be traveling for the holidays. So next week, Matt is going to then have to be solo. So there's that. Anyway, again, thanks for watching. We had to keep our streak going at least. I still had to do it. But I was going to look around. I know Matt has done solo weeks a few times here over the last however many weeks that I was gone. But, and he was working on vehicles. It's like, I should do that. And then I started looking around. There's a lot of vehicles in here that could use some work on something, but it's so hard to make a decision on all of the projects that don't work all at once. What is the best solution for Capra? What do you mean best solution? That's a hard one. Oh, but speaking of that, we did see a teaser from Axial today on what is a rear four-wheel steer version. And if you go by their hashtags, it looks like a four-wheel steer and Capra all hashtagged in there. So kind of giving it away, which I would assume so. And it was a red dyed chassis, which seemed like a bold decision. I'd be interested to see. I actually do not know what that vehicle looks like as far as the total package. That's going to be interesting. Four-wheel steer. Yeah, if you go by only the information used in the hashtags of the videos, that is what would be. That's what I would guess. So I'm going to try and kind of go through tonight. For the most part, we're going to go through questions as best as possible. Let me break out the chat window here separately so that I can see as much as possible. Try and get through these as best I can. We'll just rapid fire questions as much as possible. Brian Harrison, thank you for $5. Just picked up an Astroflight 109 charger. Probably the easiest charger to use. That's interesting. Chargers are so odd because it seems like there's basically 2 or 3 UIs. There's the one I have here. I use a ProTech. I've got a quad ProTech charger, and then I've got a Venom Pro Duo, and those seem to have similar but different. And then there's some like the ISDT chargers, which then have another different. But so many of them are so similar. It's kind of wild. And Blind Guy RC, thank you, sir, for $5. Hey man, well, you will do. I'll give you that. Just picked up a VS410 Origin Black Limited used. It's actually great shape aside from wear on the black anodyne. That's what that one is back there. And I think that I'm picking a body up for that this week from Moose Jaw, and we should be live building that for Jimothy. So I'll that one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to grab it real quick just because it's a fun box. For those that don't know, this is the second release basically of the Vanquish kits. There was the Origin Limited first, and then the Origin Limited Black Edition, which that was before we had, you could get black or clear versions. But these were a cool kit because inside the machined parts, like the front and rear axles, all the anodized parts go in this like machined foam that, you got the transmission housings, the knuckles, the metal rock sliders, rear and front bumpers there, motor plate, little Vanquish logo. This thing was cool. So, but that is what we should be building this Friday live. Wait, why don't you have Moose John here? That's a good point. It's a good question. It was a lack of planning on my part. I was at work late, and the final call from Matt that he wasn't going to make it just didn't happen in time. And Ron Starner, thank you very much. Appreciated. So no question, but if you have one, I'll try and catch it as quickly as possible. So, let's see. When's the second wave of Phoenix coming? They're coming. I'm not giving any dates, just because if I give a date and then it's wrong, I gave you the wrong date. So I don't give dates, but it's coming. Jimmy Two Horses, be gentle with my baby. Absolutely. Looking forward to it for sure. And Brent Hevner, appreciated 2 recommendations for assembling links. Any specific tools out there? Yes, there is. These are the 2 tools you need. This tool is from Team Garage Hack, and it goes into a 1/4-inch driver. So you put it in there, and then this, do I have a link just laying handy? You would think I would, but I don't. Anyway, your rod end with the pivot ball will slide into this. And then you take the link and you put it on there, and basically you put another pivot ball on this side, and you can do it all at once. You just hold both ends and you spin it, and whoosh, whole thing goes together super easy. This is called a Zerba tool, and I'll say it slow because it's a weird spelling. It's SZCZERBA. So like Sam, zebra, C, and then actually the ZERBA. But this is a 3D printed tool. I think it was sold by RC Scaleworks. People could probably 3D print their own or design their own quickly. I always like to support them because they were like one of the early ones to make it. But if you have these 2 tools, you can get 10 links done in a trail truck in 2 or 3 minutes. Like super fast. Maybe not 2 or 3 minutes. Or maybe if you're not trying to talk while doing it the whole time. So those are the 2 tools that you need to make building links as painless as possible. Brazen Scale RC. No, the original person I sent the email to never did, but I need to pull the second. I have not pulled a second winner. I sent 2 separate follow-up emails, so 3 emails in total, no response. So it seemed like, I don't know. The name didn't, I don't know. It could have been a foreign name. It didn't sound like a real email, but I don't know. So either way, we'll see. But I want to have the person who wins it on a video. So that's why I want that person on there. But anyway, catching back up. Did I ever show? No, I didn't want it to all be at the same time. It looks really good. I like the suits did a good job. I redid a bunch. It was a bot. That's always my concern. So it would have been handy because I don't know. We'll see. It's all right. Shock pliers for pivot balls helps as well. Oh, that's a good point. If you're installing the actual like pivot balls into your plastic rod ends, yeah, a pair of shock pliers, specifically a pair of shock pliers that, or an area on your shock pliers that you're not going to use for actual shocks, because you will mar the surface up pretty good. Or you have a separate set, but don't use the
Like these have the pivot ball tool, but those are actually harder to use than anything. I think that tool is really only good for popping them out. So there you go. What tires are on the giveaway truck? Hyraxes. Recommendation on getting plastic adjuster collars on the Phoenix shocks. When I did, these are a set that I have here for video stuff. They I did do the stretch method with a pair of needle nose, but the other thing is I just looked at like with the inside of the shock collar and looked at where the timing of the thread started, and then found it on the shock body and lined it all up, and then just went on, and it went pretty quickly. So, whoops, throwing them around. So I just use a flat part of my bench desk for pivot balls. That's one way, but man, the tools make it so quick. You just pat, pat. Has the orange VS410 with the black doors and silver cage been in a video? It's been no, not specifically. It's been on some live ones. That's a this is a custom little truck. I'm letting it get a natural patina on the cage, but this is basically another version of my Woods Runner chassis plans. This was built by DS Fabworks, who was the same builder who built the last Woods Runner I had that now belongs to Scale Crawler Fab Shop in here, Ben. So that one went to him, and then I had another one done so that I was not without. This is the VS410 Origin half cab body technically, and then it's narrowed 1 inch, so you can see the seam down the middle there, or maybe it was about 3/4 of an inch, but a little bit narrower than the standard body. The chassis the tube work's all welded directly to the chassis. It'll all get this one's like a project that I'm in no real hurry to finish, but this is one that at this point I really want to keep. So I really like this truck. I think that it looks great. Moose Jaw painted this body for me and did a fine job with the proper patina look and everything. Just told him, do whatever you think, and there you go. I think that one is going to be fun, and I think the proportions are great. It's bigger by quite a bit than the one that Ben has. It's got a taller side profile to it. To fit this body, it had to. The one that was on Ben's was like a C10 body of some sort, and it was just a great looking job. But yeah, that's the story behind this one. There isn't a lot of it's a little bit of backstory. There's not a whole lot of story beyond that's happened yet, but it will sell at $600. Not a chance in hell. So yeah. What do we got here? What's the story behind the number 37? So let's see. That came from a commercial that was in I would love to find the commercial. If someone could find the commercial, I would give you a gift certificate. But it came from a commercial, and they were like, I don't even remember what the commercial was for. They were in the lobby of something, and there was like someone who said they could read minds, and like someone like just leaned over, and before even saying anything, the psychic just went 37. Like just responded quick, 37. And I was like, and so myself and my dad and my brother, we always just 37. Like the answer to everything was just 37. So then it all just continued on. What do you know? Team Garage Hack, $20. Much thank you. Thanks for the speed wrench plug. We're glad you enjoy it. And Brazen Scale, we love you too. Yes, the speed wrench is still a tool I use all the time. Like every kit that has links that need to be built. I used to use a modified. Do I still have it? I do. This is what I used to use before I just got this TGH one, which is nice and machined, and it goes into a 1/4 inch drive. I used this, which was an Axial SCX10 dog bone that I ground the center out and then wrapped with a small portion of duct tape and then 2 O-rings to try and hold everything in place. And I would put this into a drill chuck. And that was how I would do it before I had this one. But now this one just is so much easier because it just goes in my regular driver, which I use every single build. Big time saver. So, do you yourself paint any of your own bodies? Have I painted any body that's in here? Let's see. I painted my own body that was on my class 2 comp rig that I used, but it was one color silver. Let's see. I think that in this entire room, this is the only body I've painted. And yeah, that was it. And I think Nicole on last Friday's live stream, I think she counted that there were 40 RC trucks in this room. And I've painted one of them. Anything else that I've painted is either not in this room. But I mean, I have painted. I've painted many in the past. They just never, you know. Yes, I painted the green CR18, the Class 1 4Runner. I can paint. I just usually, if I have time, they will go to somebody better qualified. I think Matt drank vacation water. Does British Columbia, he was in British Columbia, right? BC. Do they have bad water? I could see that. 1 out of 40. So you're saying there's a chance. You know, the Vegas odds on if I'm going to paint the body on something. Painted the RCPC, that Tamiya Semi, I did. That's a good one. That one actually came out okay. See? Why paint when Moose Jaw does it better? And he's close. He's just like right there. Because while I'm bad at painting, I'm also bad at shipping. So, yeah, that's another thing. Yes, gosh, I have F10 port. If you need a F10 portal stuff, message customer service through the website on vanquishproducts.com. That is the way to go for customer service needs. Paint is a tedious procedure. I think that is exactly correct. And I don't have time for that. Tedious and me. Oh, crap. I'm wrong. I painted this orange one right here, too. I painted that like a week ago. 2 of them. 2 of the trucks. My percentages just went up. 5% of the trucks in this room I've painted. Ha! Brian Sherwood, speaking of shipping, exactly. It hasn't gone out yet, Brian. Yes. Yeah. But what's that orange one? Which orange one? There's a... I'll grab that one. We'll trade the Woods Runner for the other one. This is I've been calling it the Spaniard, which doesn't make any. I bought it. A guy from Spain made this chassis, and he posted it. He goes, "Hey, look at my new chassis. For my new truck I just finished." And I said, "Can I buy it?" And then he agreed, and now I own the chassis. He sent only the chassis, and I put Capra axles under it, but it's a narrowed hard body hood, and it's got aluminum panels. Steel chassis. It's not all together, but it's in there a little bit. I took the drivetrain that was in my, what was that? The RC Speedy, and put it into this. So It's got some brass knuckles from Hot Racing in it. It's got a Vanquish 3-gear transmission with a dig, and that's basically it. But it's a good looking little chassis. These are 2.2 machetes with 1.9 BFG crawlers, but it's a very heavy truck. As far because the chassis is all solid rod, so heavy. It's all custom, and oh, that one you need. Yeah, this is the one that I used the Goo Gone on the hood and stripped the paint off of it by accident when I was supposed to use Goof Off, not Goo Gone. You win some, you lose some. So, yeah. Let me see. What do we else? Can we see the lime green VS410? That's the color that represents the form of cancer that I had, and I think that truck is awesome. Yeah, I'll grab that one. That's Duratrax lime paint. Yeah, I'll grab that one next here. Did you paint the body yourself, or is it ready-made? I paint the body. On the orange one, I painted that, but it was already narrowed. I just scuffed it and then paint. Goof Off removes paint. Yeah, Brian, I found out. I didn't know that. I thought it had. I took some stickers off of it, and I thought it says right on there it removes adhesive, which is perfect. However, then I removed the paint. It did remove the adhesive and the paint. So, you know, where's my boy Rich? I will call Rich here in a short period. Let me see. But brush paint, I don't brush paint. My paint all comes out of a can. What's Axial's new release? From their hashtags, it appears to be a Capra with 4-wheel steer. Josh, in your defense, I was at Lowe's and they have the Goof Off and Goo Gone sitting on the shelf side by side. It seems like the same thing. I mean, I will say that I did notice that it had quite a smell to it when I was like, that seems strong. And I wiped the hood of it and I was like, wow, that rag turned really blue really quickly. And then, you know, who paints the rooms in the house? I had a painter do this. So yeah, I did not. I got that. Oh, I got that super chat. Steady. Let's see. I don't see that one. WD-40 for removing sticker residue. You know what? And Nicole actually had Goof Off under the sink, and she handed me Goo Gone. I think because I asked for Goo Gone specifically, but yeah, Josh just really hates painting. I hate painting everything, walls, trucks, anything. I don't like to paint. It's just, yeah, it is. It's universal. So, what's the best all-around ESC motor for a 1.9 Wraith? It's a question. There is no best all-around. Everyone's definition of what all-around is or what wheel speed is proper is different. What I like is a lot of wheel speed, and I consider that all-around, versus what someone else might think is a fully different, preference. So you can go Castle Mamba X and a 2700 kV Polar Pro from Holmes Hobbies. That's a great setup for me, but that's faster than a lot of people would run. You could do a Fusion 1800 system from Hobbywing, which is a little bit slower. It's super convenient, which is nice in a 1.9 Wraith because they're kind of a pain to work on. So there you go. It's like I said, it's just, there you go. Josh, how do I get Moose to paint to my body for me? I think I've given Moose Josh so many bodies at this point. He's just like, I don't know how many other things I can paint. So I don't accept work on Joe's behalf. You can message him on Instagram and he can tell you what kind of availability. Capra looks like a red chassis and rear steer. I did notice that there was a very red chassis in the promo, so that is interesting. Any word on Traxxas claiming any names recently? Nope, they have not claimed any new names. I check every week. So yeah, let's see. Holmes Hobbies Torque Master Pro 35 turn with a Hobby Wing 1080. That's a great one for a little bit more of a budget. I like brushless just because of the lack of maintenance needed. They don't wear out like a brush motor will over time. But you know, that's just it. There does come with a difference in price for sure. Does anyone run Tekin anymore? I run Tekin in about half of my. That truck up there has got my Phoenix has a Tekin RX4 and a Rock 412 2300 kV in that one actually. I've got an RX4 and a 3100 kV in my SCX. Oh, wait, RX4 and maybe a Holmes Hobbies motor in that one. This one has an RX4 and a Pro 4 motor, not a Rock 412. That one's got a RX4 and a 20. That one, I think that one has a 3100 kV Rock 412 in it. So I run about half Holmes motors and half Tekin motors, and then about half Castle ESCs and half Tekin ESCs, and then I sprinkle in some Hobby Wing every once in a while. So I like the power of the Castle and the Tekin and the Holmes stuff better than the Hobby Wing stuff. The Hobby Wing stuff is a little bit noticeably lighter on power comparatively. Not that it's no power, it's just it's less punchy. So how was the drag brake on the Tekin combos? It's kind of however you set it up. I went through my full setup when I did my bomber. My bomber's actually right up there in the corner. You can't really see it. But I did, in the last video update I did on that truck, I went through like my settings for RX4s, and the drag brake is super controllable. You know, you can set up some of the frequency things, and you know, depending on how much roll you want and all of that. And they also have, you know, updated drag brake settings now in a lot of these that are pretty nice. The Castle stuff is nice. So let's see. Just bought the speed wrench and Zerba tool. Hate links. My Capra tunnel hates them more. My carpal tunnel. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's the number of times that I've used those tools. I cannot suggest them enough. So I think that they're absolutely worth the the slight investment that it takes to pick both of them up, and you'll be pleased for years to come. I've had, even though this Zerba tool is 3D printed, I've had it for, it's got to be, you know, 4 or 5 years. So, and it's got a hex molded in the top, and I can't remember what that was for. Oh, I know what that was for. They took and they put in a, when I got this tool, it had just like a regular, like a Phillips head or a flat head or something in it, and it was in there with the tip down, and that was so that you could actually take and you could take and put it on your driver like that, which I get. It's just a little bulkier, things like that. So the I do like that setup better, but and now I just use that to store my to store my other piece so that everything's in one place. Shane lives only a couple of hours from me. If I, yeah, Shane's moved up into the Washington or Oregon area. He used to live down in Arkansas, and we used to compete, you know, all the time. We were kind of same part of the country, and Shane used to travel to all the, you know, big events with us when we were competing in rock crawling back in the day. And Shane's an awesome dude. Josh, you still gonna make the video tutorial for radio setup for the? Yes, that whole thing is. I'll try and get as much done here as I can. I've got to shoot a video tonight for a new release tomorrow, not the Axial thing. So right after this, I'm going to, so you'll see this shirt again in a video tomorrow. Be ready for that. And so I got to get that shot and edited, uploaded tonight for that release. And then I've got some Phoenix video stuff to finish, specifically some of the last little how-to things. And then, oh man, I have a lot to get done. I have to get a lot done before the holidays next week. So same hat. I could change hats, but I think that I'll stay with this same hat. Hint the manufacturer. No. I mean, no, not going to do that. So, yes, the video should go up tomorrow morning. Did they give me a time when I have to post it? That is a great question. I'm glad you asked. I'm going to check my email because that makes for good live video. Let's see. It says 9 a.m. Thursday, Eastern Standard Time. What's that make it? 6 a.m. my time? There you go. 6 a.m. my time, Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'll have a new video up with the share the email screen. Does Tower Hobbies have it for sale already? I like what you've done there. TRX 4000 and brazing videos. I know, both of those. So let's... No, I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to lift that TRX 4000 up here. It is terrible to lift. Leaving the Vanquish hat on. VP new release. It's not a VP new release. It is a new truck release. There you go. So I'll give you that. It's a new truck. But is it all new? Or is it just partially new? I don't know. It fits on this bench, though. I'll tell you that. It's not 1/6 scale. How thick was the NDA? I do not have an NDA with them. So. Have you seen the Vitavon upgrades for the SCX6? I have. I have seen them. So, I find the lack of TRX 4000 disturbing. I know. I want to get that done so much. We've got the light kit, all of the extra brass pieces that I forgot, and then it's all about that battery tray. And that's the big one. So, you know, the fact that my TRX 4000 weighs more than my 1/6 scale, there's something to be said there. Can't wait. That's the one. The tug of war between those two. That's going to be such a good battle. I really wonder. I honestly don't know who will win that. Because, you know, the big tires on the SCX6 versus the tires on, but you've got stock compound SCX6 versus the G8 compound on the TRX 4000. I'm excited myself. The Vegas odds on that one. Is it the 124th Ripper Jr. release? No, not Vanquish. I could turn the hat around like a child. Hey, Jeremiah, thank you for the donation. I decided to get a resin printer. What brand do you use? For resin printer, I use the Form 2 from Formlabs, which is a fairly expensive one, and it works a little bit different than the, what are the other ones called? They're not do they call them an LCD or an OLED? But I don't have that style. So I haven't actually used that, but the Form 2 works out pretty well. So it is nice to have that type of detail. Every once in a while I've used it on some other builds. You know, and then speaking of, like, I had posted on my Facebook page, maybe my Instagram as well, last week that my UC Fab Moon Buggy chassis is almost completed. So really looking forward to seeing that. And my Carnivore is coming back with it at the same time. So there you go. Adam Tebman says, "I bet it's the new Jegs truck." It is not the new Jegs truck. I'll give you that one. That was a good guess though. That is a good guess. Team Garage Hack, thanks again. New truck, a new truck released this year. That is exciting. Scale or it's scale. It's scale. Oh, why is Josh excited? It's to me a CCO2 Mercedes Black Edition. Yeah, but it's the 6x6 version of it. Like you need more RC trucks. Nicole's going to kill you. I will say that the truck was in the room when she was counting. So she counted it already. So it's already into the number. So it doesn't even count as new because she already counted it and she just thinks that it's the. Have you hinted at it on the scale news? No, I have not. Nope. There hasn't been any tease or leak on this thing. So definitely three-wheel Mustang drift car. I swear. You know what we should do? I wonder if Rich is available right now. We'll call him and well, I'm going to text him first to make sure that he's good. I haven't seen his name pop up. So text him. Let's go, Brandon, $4.99. Thank you for the donation. Speaking of rippers, when do the members only jackets go out? You have to make you submit the application. It'll go through approval process. From there, we raise the cows humanely and on their own. And then once they die of old age, then only is the leather harvested for the jacket. So it's a long process. You have to get in line for it. God. Are we going to see a three-wheeled crawler? It's a great question that nobody would really truthfully ask, but it came up great. The last few days, I've been actually working on my office at work, like my actual office, and getting a ton of stuff just out of the way. I mean, just you'll never guess, but I collect too many things. I have too many cars and too many parts and too many everything. So I have been just consolidating and cleaning out. I've actually been sending. I've got a mod chat on Instagram for some of the guys that help out here on the moderators, and obviously thus the name. And I've been sending them like progress updates, like here, oh, see what we get in here, see what we. But the reason I say that story is because in my massive pile of parts, at one point, somebody from here on the channel, Evan, had sent me a Clodbuster Axial. That is what I planned to make a like upscaled, upsized off-road dancing rider. And I ran across that today actually, and I was like, oh, I need to get back into that. I need to finish that. I had some design work already ready to go too, so I just needed to. I've got a 5th scale motorcycle front end that I was planning on using, and I think that will still be the case. So that's because you never should buy anything you have in your paws. Also true. Also true. It's definitely a problem. Is the Anycubic Photon Mono X resin printer any good? I don't know. I've never actually used them, but I do see a lot of people that still that use those, and I see a lot of people who appear to have good luck with them, but I don't know what else I can say. Yes, the 5th scale dancing rider. Yeah, that's the plan still. Long travel rear suspension. I think it'd be great. Been thinking of getting the DJI Osmo Action 4K, basically a GoPro, but from DJI. I think a Hobbywing 1080 ESC and Chromemaster 13 turn is good for the Origin. Wait, there's two different trains of thought. This is my DJI Osmo Action. This was the first one, the very first one that I came out with. And I liked it for some of the things, but I would say that even though GoPros aren't like the most reliable, neither are these. And after I bought this one, I was just like, I'm just going to stick with GoPros. So it's not bad, but I would still say stick with a GoPro. Based on my experience with the previous, I love the DJI drones, some of the best, but GoPro still got the tip of my hat when it came to cameras. So, but on your second question, Hobbywing 1080 ESC and a Crowmaster 13 turn good for the Origin. Yes, solid setup. Can't lose with it. Drop and go. Yeah, you're going to be solid. So you're set. Do it. Needs to be 3-wheel drive one scale dancing rider. I'm gonna have to stick the other motor just right on it on the front somehow. Maybe an outrunner. Evan Moore, he's in here even. I forgot about that. I didn't forget about you, Evan. So, yes. Let's see. Oh, yep. Rich did text me back. So I'm going to give him. I need to put my other camera up here again. Hold on a second. And we're going to add Rich. Oh. I forgot that I normally do this show and I have headphones on, and I'm going to have to do that again. Otherwise, you're going to get a very interesting echo. I don't have Rich's camera, though. There it is. Can you hear me now? And I can hear you. Hold, please. I can, but I have to switch something here so that they can. All right. Hold, please. We're going to switch that. Yeah, it's just going to be all your face. God. Hold on a second. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. They have a sliver of you, which is kind of okay with me, but.
Oh shit! Shoot.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
All right. I'm fixing it because I'm good with technology. I don't know what you did to your view, but there we go.
While you're doing this, whoa! Yeah, there you go.
See?
You know what kills you?
What kills you is what? For those that don't know, Rich, Horizon employee, Axial project manager, as well as whatever else projects he could be working on.
Product developer.
Product developer.
Let's get that straight. Senior product developer. You never get it right.
I know. I don't try very hard though. So.
Uh-oh. You know what I was going to tell you is I told my buddy Kevin, who's pretty new to RC crawling, to join in on the live stream because it's always Josh and Matt, and Josh is good, but Matt really keeps it together and it really is entertaining. And Matt's not here for his first show. Great.
Well, at least he's
that steady spin that you're seeing on there making comments.
At least he'll get the the quality side of the information at least, no matter if he.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Matt.
Hey,
Matt
how come I can't see
me.
you on my Skype camera?
Oh, that is a. I'm fixing a couple of things. You're like sitting off to the side, but I got it. So
are we having a little delay too?
That's.
So I keep stepping on you, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's even on my. I'm actually hearing you with a little bit of a delay, so we'll just have to roll with that.
Okay, I'll try not to step on you.
That'll be all right. We're always going to argue anyway.
Yeah.
So the SCX6 was your most recent launch, and that's the one we haven't really talked about. Other than,
yeah,
is that right? We haven't had you on since it was actually released, right?
Yeah, no, I haven't been on because you were on vacation, and then you guys had your launch, and then I don't know, whatever it was.
So. Yeah, the
bunch of stuff.
So can you finally discuss how many of those did you have to have scattered around the house, taking up all of the rooms?
Of those cars, of the sixes?
Yeah,
Shit, I can't hear you. I'm losing you.
that's I don't know what you got going on there, but yeah, the S6. I mean, those things are so big. I can only imagine the samples that were just scattered around.
Yeah, it pretty much sucked. I had to. I mean, that's why I came back into the office because my wife got sick of all these dishwasher-sized boxes in my living room, and I had no place in the garage, and they just took up. It just took up all the space like crazy. And then, and you remember too. Imagine I had that big plastic tub that we had at the scale nets when I let you drive it out for the first time. So imagine having a bunch of those as well.
Yeah, that and when I was even when I went to video it, I was texting you just because trying to find a place to video and not let anybody else. Just because if they run up on you, it's like good luck hiding it.
Yeah,
It
yeah. It- and what's pretty crazy too is I was actually out testing at Southridge because it's so close to my house, and I went out there. Actually, Wyatt was with me as well. He's one of our engineers, and he's out there. We're running and stuff, and we're doing some. You kind of could take a hill that goes up and down on the backside of this course area, and we're climbing up. We're going up, and then all of a sudden, I see some guys pull up in a truck. I'm like, oh man. The thing is, there's only one way in and one way out, and that's it. So I'm like, uh oh, what are we gonna do here? So we took off all the way to the top, climbed the backside, but we had no choice. We had to walk down past these guys. Maybe they were like 50 feet from us, 75 feet from us. But thank God, us crawler guys are such nerds that they were looking at their cars. We literally walked right past them with the SCX6s. And this was like a year ago, and they did not see it. They had no idea that we walked right past them with two giant crawlers. And they missed it. But they were just like, oh, yeah, getting all over the rock and stuff and walked right past them. That was the closest I came to getting busted with it. After that, it was out testing in different areas of the desert and wherever we could go that I wouldn't find anybody. That was tough.
I mean, I was in a bit of a time crunch on filming it, just with
You? No.
now. I'm not saying because of my own. I ended up getting it a little bit later, which was fine. But yeah, I was in a little bit of a. So I went to my spot that's convenient, but there's like 4 spots that I can go to at Folsom Lake, and I ended up having to go to the 4th one to actually avoid, because otherwise there was people rock crawling at every other spot.
Oh man.
I was like,
Yeah.
what? But luckily the water was
I know. Dude,
so
trust me.
low that I could get
I
around.
know. The thing that kills me though is that Southridge is so close to my house. It was so convenient, but yet I could never go there because any time of the day I went, there was somebody there. It's like, man, do you people work?
I
There's
know.
always people out there crawling.
I think the same thing. So no matter when I go to the lake, like, because it is for me, it's the most convenient place to test as well. And if I could be testing a 1/10 scale truck and you wouldn't even necessarily know. You put a different body on it and it just is what it is.
Right.
So
The it was easy because I just put a. Man, are we really stepping on each other?
you're breaking up a little bit.
You know what? Let me try something real quick here.
So, let's see. Is that a
Hang on a
Yoda in the
second.
back? Yeah, Rich has I think he's got an old Toyota Tercel behind him, and then the other one is I don't remember. I think it's a Camry of some sort, maybe. Oh, and then he breaks up and can't defend his car
Dude,
collection.
you really gotta insult me like that.
Oh, I love that his video just breaks
Can
up
you hear
right
me now?
now you're back a little bit, but
Oh, no.
no.
I'm back. And how dare you insult me that it's a Camry?
Camry, Corolla. I think they're almost the same.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what. Let me go grab one of those little hotspot thingies.
Yeah.
And that should probably help with the Wi-Fi. So let me go grab that real quick.
You do that.
Give me a sec.
So, yeah, let's see. That I can't. He'll have to when his video comes back. I'm going to mute his audio for a moment, so we're not listening to that part of it, even though I still am. Let's see. Are his neighbors stealing his Wi-Fi? Oh, we will have to get an update on his neighbors, because that is that whole update it's all changed already. So we'll get it. And TGH, thanks TGH. Thank Rich for taking time to join us. Yes, as soon as he gets his stuff squared, we will. Let's see. The bad neighbors are. Yeah. So we'll get a neighbor update. Hopefully he gets his Wi-Fi fixed and we can get on with discussing, because I also have a couple of things on the SCX6 so many questions really. A Toyota AE86 and a TE72. I think it's a I don't know what either of them are. Let's see. Yeah, you're not there yet. Let's see. I missed one. Let's see. Josh, you missed a super chat. Oh, so I did. Steady Spin. Thank you for. I missed that one. Thank you for that donation. I hope this buys you guys 2 beers over there on the West Coast. It could actually, that just barely, and on this side. Yeah, I know I still have Rich muted. He's still getting his stuff figured out. He's let's see. Can you recommend a video on installing the electronics on the Phoenix? I will have a video trying to get all of that situated before too long. Hopefully within the next week is definitely the goal. But I do have a video on doing the VFD dig, which kind of goes through setting endpoints and things like that, which is part of it. I don't know what Rich just did to that part of his video, but I'm hiding it. Let's see. Rich is like the Christmas Story dad fixing the wiring. So let's kind of going back to this other question here. Have a Holmes Hobbies 1800 kV Polar Pro with the stock 15 turn pinion, motors getting hot, meshes set correctly. Any thoughts on it? I didn't see what truck you were talking about that in. 1800 kV really shouldn't be getting too hot, just because that it's a pretty low kV. If your gear mesh is okay, that's one thing to look at, but also you probably want to look at if there's any other binding in it, like if the wheels are, the offsets are rubbing and causing a binding there, or if you've got a drag somewhere else in the axles. Take the motor out or take the pinion off and spin the drivetrain. It should all spin freely. So that's one thing to look at. I have seen where wheels are like touching a portal box and causing a drag, and people not catching that right away. So little things to check. Oh, yep, that does appear to be better. I'm going to turn Rich is back on and unmute him. So now you're back. Yeah. Okay, first of all, there was a handful of questions. What are those two?
No. First of all, don't insult me with my car being a Camry. It's an A86 11 Corolla, and then I have a TE21 behind there. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. All right, now we're good.
Those were the two things that I was going to make you do first. Is the one right-hand drive?
Yeah, the red one right here is right-hand drive. So, well, you can't really see the steering wheel, but yeah, it's on the other side. It's on the wrong side. So, makes for interesting driving. Makes for interesting left-hand turns.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Like
Fam,
if you have a car coming at you, I'm on the right side of that car, so I can't see over.
Fam
So that
drove
makes it
his
fun.
200 SX in to the office the other day, and it's a right-hand drive as well. We had
Uh,
we had so many things. We were like, we have a lot of things we need to do today, but we'd really like to just go driving around. And
yeah, it's fun. I took one of my buddies for a ride in it when I first got it, and he couldn't help himself. He, as soon as I went to make a right turn and we were at a stop sign, all of a sudden he like stuck his hands out the window sideways as I'm making the turn, like, "Look, I'm not driving." It's like, okay, dude, you're like 40 years old, man. What the hell was that? So, but yeah. Anyways, so let's talk to the SCX6. Sorry
yes,
about that. Hopefully
that's
this is a
okay.
lot better now.
Yes, it is. So that like you were saying, I did drive it out at Nationals in when was that? April or
Yeah, I think so.
something like that.
Yeah.
So quite a
Hmm.
while back. Now, what I don't even know what if you had told me before, like what was the original, when were you guys originally shooting to release that car?
Man, it got delayed and delayed, and the main reason it got delayed, I think it was like almost a 2 year project. To be honest, it was probably about 19 months, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
The biggest problem we had is the power system. Originally, I started out with a brush system because I was trying to get the price as low as possible
Yeah.
on this SCX6. And I tried, because I thought, well, you know what, I could probably get some like, all these electric motors for drills and stuff like that. I mean, there's some that are brushed still, and obviously there's some that are brushless now, but I thought there might be an opportunity there to be able to use a brush motor, keep the cost down, and then there would be an upgrade path to go brushless if you wanted to later on. But that didn't work. I'll tell you that much, because as big of the system I kept trying to put in there, I just kept blowing them up, man. I mean, it was like Fire City almost every time I put one in there. So we got close. I mean, we got somewhere we could get about an hour runtime on them, but after the hour, yeah, it was no good. It
Yeah,
would just literally fry.
I mean, that would
You
have
know.
been a bummer because even if you were trying to get the price point down, you still would have been looking at what, a $700 or $800 car at least.
Yeah, I was thinking it was probably going to be around the 600, 650 range was the
Okay.
original goal.
Yeah.
But then of course
Before
all
pricing and everything went wild with, even
right.
whatever a price was going to be was going to get raised 10 or 15%
Yeah,
just because of
yeah,
materials. But
e-
it
exactly.
would have been very unfortunate to have to spend what that would have been on a vehicle and then have it smoke in an hour.
Yeah, and that was the thing is I really, the goal was to find, we're kind of assured from some of our motor vendors that, oh yeah, we can come up. I'm like, you realize this thing weighs 25 pounds. Are you sure we can get a motor that's going to run this thing and we can run it on 3S? And we kept getting assured that they could and kept sending me samples and I would just blow them up almost immediately. Luckily, we had the foresight to be developing a brushless system at the same time for it as possibly an upgrade path. But once I put it in and ran it, I was like, sorry guys, price is going up and we're including this brushless system because it's just that much better and it just has to happen that way. So I know people beat us up over the price. Some
Yeah.
people are okay with it because they think they get a lot for their money. Other people are like, that's crazy. I'm paying $1,100 for a car. But I think the package that we put together, once you have it and drive it, I think a lot of people seem to be pleased, at least from what I can kind of see.
Yeah, I think so as well. And anytime you have an RC car that is outside of the norm price range, you're going to get those
Oh, yeah.
those responses. I mean, our VS410 Pro and Ultra are nearly there with a 110 scale car, and
Right.
we get the exact same responses. They're not for everybody, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it didn't
But
surprise me. I knew what those responses were going to be.
yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that was going to come too, but I felt pretty confident in the product that I was like, well, they'll beat us up, and then hopefully they'll enjoy it as much as I enjoy driving it, and it seems to have turned out that way. I mean, we still got a little hiccups here and there, and I crack up when I watch some of the YouTube videos on people doing unboxing, and they've got to say something bad. Like I had one guy was saying, you know, first thing you have to do is get rid of the AA batteries. They're the worst AA batteries in history. I'm like, did you even try them? Like, they're actually not too bad, but hey, if that's what you got
I
to
mean,
say, and you know,
that, oh, that I I'm pretty nitpicky, as you may have ran into with me before.
No.
But I have never even thought about judging the quality of the batteries included.
Yeah.
That's actually a good. So here's the radio for the SCX6. Mine came with Duracells.
You're more than welcome to tell that story, Josh, if you want. Why yours came with this Duracells, and why yours was a little dirty too. But hey, that's your call if you want to.
No. I'm all for letting the the fourth wall breaks. So.
Oh man!
I drove this car in April or May or whatever year it was, or month it was, whatever time we're talking in, and had discussed it, and we had talked in the background, being just on friendly level of what's going on, work, blah blah blah, and then it came time to the release, and I'm telling Rich, like, Matt texted me like, "Hey, mine showed up in the mail." I'm like, "Yours got to Canada before my." I gave it a few days, and I was just like, I sent a text, and I'm like, Rich, like, I haven't seen that truck, and he's just like,
dude,
okay, like, I don't know what's going on for sure. Well, you met, so I sent the person who was in charge. I'm not going to put his name out there so people don't start messaging him. But
right,
it's like,
right.
Hey, I haven't seen this, and then like a day later, he's like, hey, I get a message back like, you got time for a call from this person? And I was like, sure. And he's just like, I don't know what happened, but I forgot to get one for you. Or like, it got allocated differently.
Yeah, and don't think I would do that on purpose either, Josh, for right. Any of the aggravation you've given me in the past. I would, I'm a bigger man than that. I wouldn't have done that. But no, I thought it was funny though too, because I get a text, from Matt, and then all of a sudden I get one from you. I'm like, Josh didn't get his. He didn't get one. Oh man, I was like, here we go. But luckily, we had one that we could get you that was still new.
It had barely been used. And technically, the name around the office, I think, that was used was Green Runner. So.
Oh, that was on the bottom of the transmitter. I know. So that was used for the video shoot. We actually took it out there. We didn't actually run it during the video. Like, it has we take a whole bunch of them with us. And, because we got to keep some pretty ones for some nice beauty shots, all that type of stuff. And then we have some runners that we just can beat the crap out of. And then we have others that might be like a slow transition shot where maybe it's just slowly creeping along. That's when that one was. And that's why, the bottom of your transmitter says Green Runner.
Right.
Because I have like 6 radios, 10 radios with me at one time. And it's which one is which?
All of my radios have silver Sharpie on this. Here's the Pro Boat. Here's the CX6.
And by the way, I'm going blind right now because I don't have your camera on. So I can't see anything you're doing, but that's not that bad either.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes it all a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. And so unfortunately I can't see the comments. You know what I did is I turned off my TV because I was sucking all the bandwidth. I was watching the comments on the channel, so I can't see anything that anybody's asking. So if any of those pop up, we'll happy to answer. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a good time, and it's been a lot of fun with this SCX6. There's been a lot of, I didn't expect to have videos of people sitting on their SCX6. I'm going to be the first to admit, I did not sit on the SCX6 and test it that way. I did not try pulling a vehicle either. But thank God it has held up under some of those testings. I mean, I even saw a video of a guy with like a 6-year-old kid sitting on top of it, driving it around in the dunes. Like, can you make it any harder on the system to not only put a 60-pound kid on top of your crawler, but then run it in sand for like an hour? And it's like, wow. I don't think anybody can complain about that.
Yeah. So that's oof.
Well, they still will complain, but
Yeah. The power. I mean, I think that the power system really was a value that people overlook as far as because that system, if you were going to sell that aftermarket. Now, I will say that like a Spectrum aftermarket system like that may have been a little bit more expensive than, say, a close comparable hobby wing system. Like the pricing structure and things like that for, say, a Spectrum system can be a little different. But what would that system have cost? Or, I mean, what's the replacement cost on? those parts.
I think it's 500.
Yeah.
I think it's 250 for the motor, or 300 for the motor, and 300 for the ESC, or 250 for the ESC. I can't remember the exact price right now off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I think it's 250 a piece. But yeah, it's $500 right there out of the 1,100 you're paying for.
And granted, part of that gets, replacement parts and package costs are different, but that's a big chunk of it. But it's a big part of the value in that thing too. Like, people start asking for a kit version of that. I'm just like, well, you may be surprised of what that may end up.
Yeah, and we'll squash that right now. There's no way in hell you're going to get a kit of that model. It's not gonna happen. Period. I know you guys. We all want kits. I get it. But this giant one is just not practical to not only not be a kit, but then, like you said, the value of the system. You got $500 for a system, and I'm sure there's going to be other systems coming out, but you're still going to probably be in the same price point. I don't think Castle or Tekin's going to release a motor that's cheaper than Spectrum, or at least be the same price.
Or it's going to be real close. Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be the same price. The performance of it may vary, but you're still going to end up with a really expensive system. So that it doesn't surprise me at all.
That's definitely off the table.
So I've got my Traxxas TRX4 with all of the brass. Every piece of brass that you can get, and an 8-pound 30,000 milliamp 6S battery.
Did you get that battery in there?
Yeah, and it weighs about almost the exact same as the SCX6.
Wow.
So we're gonna do a tug of war now. Man. It's going to be interesting because we've got the bigger tires on the SCX6, of course. Mm-hmm. They both have 2 speeds.
Right.
So there's that.
The 6 has pretty good reduction, though. I geared the crap out of that thing.
Yes. It's
got some pretty good torque.
I think it'll be down to traction, really. But with the exact same weight, 2 different tires. One, the TRX4's got Proline. What do I have on it? Oh, no. Yeah, no, it has Proline crawlers on it. So G8s, it's going to be really close. I'm pretty interested to see how this thing goes.
Well, if you want to kind of try and make it fair, you could get some G8 Hyraxes and then get some G8 Hyraxes for the SCX6.
That's true.
Right? Now you got the same compound.
Yep.
Same weight. Now let's see what happens.
It'll be interesting to see. It will be. I like the scale tire on that 6, though. That KM3 looked great. So
yeah, the guys did a really good job on drawing this stuff up, and we actually went through some issues with the BFG. To be honest, those guys are extremely picky over at BFG, which I don't blame them. It's their IP. They want to make sure everything looks right. And the first tire tool came in, and there was a slight feathering on the mold on every other lug, and it was so slight, dude, they circled it and said, yeah, that's not going to pass. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I literally had to get an actual tire and go outside and look at a real BFG to see it. But hey, more power to them. It's their IP. They want to make sure it's right. Yeah. So we had to go in and modify the tooling. And if you know about tire tooling, that's a nightmare to fix anything when it comes to tire tools. But we had to we fixed that for them to make sure that it was right, and luckily now it looks good. It's pretty much accurate to a BFG, and then on top of that compound we chose, and maybe it's a little too soft for some people, and I know the foam needs to be a little bit firmer. I'm working on making running changes eventually. We'll have a stiffer foam in the tire, and that's just part of the learning process too. And the other thing too is, and while I'm on this topic real quick. One of the things too, when people get drawn into these things, is they like to see that tire flex. So even though the performance for us hardcore guys, and I'm not really a hardcore guy, but whatever, the hardcore guys, they like to have that tire sitting up and not fold over, that type of stuff. But dude, when you watch videos of all the newbies that got one, and they're like, look at the tires wrinkling and crawling over, they eat that up. So that's the balance I got to play with.
And the performance of that tire right away it's got some good flex and things like that. And I think that it's pretty decent. And you have to drive that truck so much differently than a 110 scale anyway, that everything about how you're doing is different, and you compensate for it.
Yeah.
But I do that the extreme mass of that truck does break down those foams much more quickly
Yeah.
than a 110 scale. So that's
It does, and the more I'm seeing people run, and the more we're realizing. And the other challenge too is like when you try and get these vendors to get foam and get it consistent, it's kind of hard. It's not the same as the guys like at Crawler Innovations or Proline or whoever it is getting their foams. You know, they're pretty good at being able to get consistent quality and not quality, consistent material
right.
from batch to batch. And that's one of the challenges that we encounter. So it's kind of hard to get these guys to realize that, hey, it's got to be within a certain tolerance. And we try. We do have the drawings, and we call it the tolerance and stuff. But you know, when you're building a crap ton of these vehicles, sometimes that stuff can sneak through, and then all of a sudden you got a softer foam than you remembered.
Right.
So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
It's just manufacturing.
Right. And, TGH, thanks again. They said, Rich, have any hints on about some new releases before the end of the year? Parts, kits, RTRs, Wyatt's next comp rig build?
Oh, wow. So, man, I guess that one wasn't a good enough hint today. I mean, Jesus, I think they just pretty much gave it away.
Well, whoever did that post is the same person who does all the Proline teasers, where all of the giveaways are in the hashtags, which is always great for me for the scale news. I'm like, oh, well, I know this one. Like, 4-wheel steer Capra. Like,
you know, we're always going through transitions, so it's been fun to have the Proline guys on board now. So you'll start to probably notice that there's a little bit of their way of doing things kind of blending into us now.
Yeah.
So, you know, Paul Wilhite and Robert and some of the other guys over at Proline are involved now with social media and some marketing stuff and some other things like that. So it's interesting how the different types of ways everybody does stuff. And I have nothing against the guys and what they've done. I think they do a great job.
I think they do.
But,
yeah.
you know, it's just interesting how we make these transitions and it's like, oh, okay, we're going to hint it that much. All right. You know, I'm not used to that, but all right, that's cool.
Yeah, no, so, it's definitely just like, we're not showing you everything, but this is what it is. Like,
right.
It is a different
read the hashtags. It's you pretty much know what it is.
It's a red 4-wheel steer Capra, but I'm still excited to see what it looks like. Like,
do I? Oh, yeah. Never mind. Like, come on, let me.
Yeah,
cover it with my head. There you go.
Sit differently.
I'm all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited to hear about, you know, that release. I haven't seen it yet, but I did hear about it. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of, now I do believe that I'll see one here shortly, other than just on the internets. But that's, I'm looking forward to going out and hitting the rock. I've been wanting to complete a 4-wheel steer rig for a while, especially because I want to get ready for class 3 at nationals. And I'm like, I need to so having something that's already built, like, just go run for a little bit. Now it's not what I'll use for class 3, but at least it's something that I can take out there and go have some wheel time with until I get my mine built. So
yeah, because it definitely takes a little bit of different driving style to, you know, play with the rear steer and remember which way it's supposed to go and that type of stuff. So
you're right.
You know.
So but yeah, I know we were talking about the delays on the SCX6 with that being such a long project and it getting delayed. It'll be interesting to see how the end of this year goes for everybody, both with really, you know, oftentimes like this Capra, it seems like the release of it is about ideal before Black Friday, holiday time. Like that's pretty on the money.
That was my plan all along.
Right. Oh yeah. No, we all. It's.
Oh, I mean, I know you know with the Phoenix. I'm sure it was the kind of the same thing as well. As far as I bet you guys had planned on it being out sooner than you did, but
of course,
you know, it's just one of those things, man. Where we do have some more stuff coming out this year. I'm trying to think of what it is. I'm not too sure how many more releases we'll have from Axial, but we do have some releases coming. Like Losi's got good stuff. Arma has stuff. I mean, we're constantly working. It has slowed down though. I mean, if everybody notices, we were probably releasing new product, it seemed like every other week, and obviously that's slowed down. And so it's kind of hard to keep up with what it is because I knew what we were going to do for 2021. Some stuff is pushed into 2022.
Right.
So,
and that's what I was getting at. Like, I wonder what, what we'll see even after the first of the year, just because of all of the things that were hopefully trying to be released by this time of year didn't happen. They're going to be 3 or 6 months delayed. Like, we could still see a pretty exciting first half of 2022.
Yeah, I think you will. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. The other thing too is it's also going to depend a little bit. Like, what we do is we adjust our ETRs based on obviously the shipping schedules right now. We did have some issues with materials and that type of stuff, and it was taking longer lead times to get stuff done. But mainly it's been the whole shipping story, which everybody knows about. Yeah. And we were tacking on 1 month to 3 months, depending on what it was, based on that shipping issue. And it seems like it's getting a little better because it seems to be a little quieter in the news, and it seems like there's a push.
It seems like there's still 100+ ship backlog outside of.
I'm just so, and I don't doubt that, but though sometimes we'll get adjustments based on here's where they're expecting to be at. So like sometimes they'll move it up a little bit. So we might have stuff that bumps up a little early, but right now we've definitely padded it out just to be safe because it's just not realistic. I mean, those SCX6s were sitting in the warehouse for what, about 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. But we had predicted a certain amount of time for those things to come in, and they were like, "No, we're going to have them sit here. We just can't chance it." We made sure we had them all in stock. By that time, we already had set aside the timeline for shipping or for sales, for marketing, all that stuff. So it couldn't move up because of that fact, even though they sat in the warehouse. I'm shocked that it didn't get out because we have a bunch of RC nerds in the warehouse as well.
Yeah.
And I know everybody works there and they take pride in what they do and they have NDAs signed and all that type of stuff. But come on, I was shocked that no one took a picture of the box and said, "Ooh, check it out."
Exactly.
That type of stuff.
What about, you remember that little other slip that happened with it like right after I drove it in April?
What?
It was on the back end, on the back end of the site.
Oh, that killed me too.
I know.
Was it the 6 and the LMT?
No, it was for the 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll get it right. It's just they're always updating the systems, trying to make it more efficient for everybody. So we've been bouncing around between stuff and bouncing around between IT people and bouncing around between websites and channels. And sometimes someone clicks a button.
Yeah.
And then they get an email and, oh, oops, take it off and let it cycle through. And meanwhile, there's Josh, screen capture,
text rich.
Got it.
Did you see this?
Did you see this? Yeah.
He's like,
oh my God. It's never ending. But it's just part of it. And I think that's too, you have a big division. You have people back in Champaign, you have the people in California. Everybody's trying to work together. Everybody's working from home. Some people are in the office. It's just everybody's doing their best. It's frustrating sometimes.
And I mean, there's very rarely toy car emergencies, but still, like,
right.
It's still like what we work on all day, and then all of a sudden, like, something gets out too early, and you're just like, how? But
it was killing me for a while there. We had that guy in I think it was in China that was releasing everything early. The Gladiator,
leaking the box art, leaking
the box art, all that stuff. That guy was actually he lost his account because it got so bad with that guy. They kept warning him. It's like, you have to understand, we have a structure, and the way the shipping system works, sometimes they would get theirs early and they were supposed to sit on it. And no, this guy was just, not only was he doing that, I believe he was actually sending them out to some of the Chinese aluminum manufacturers.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden those guys were having parts the day of announcement. It's like, I know they're not getting the design files. So they got to be getting the vehicles.
Jeremy Kilburn says, I still want to hold the person accountable for the SCX6 lubricant that was used. That is an odd grease in that transmission.
Again, it's one of those challenges of trying to find and make certain call outs for certain materials.
I
That
don't
grease has been
hate it.
something we've been using in the Baja Ray, the
Yeah.
Rock Ray, and some of the other vehicles, and it's sticky and it's gnarly, and I'm working on making some changes to that as well.
You are going to change that?
So
I mean,
a little bit, yeah. I want to get something that's a little that it seems like this stuff wants to heat up and it kind of melts almost like
and it's
I know we have the temperature, but guys got to remember, I'm no scientist. I'm no lab guy. You know, I have to go based off of what I can get from people and say, hey, what is the best for this grease and this grease and this grease? And I'm running so many projects and so many different parts of the projects that I have to kind of count on people to tell me, here's the grease you're going to get. Here's where it operates well at and this and that. Well, sometimes that translation doesn't happen so well with some of the vendors that we work with. And so I am trying to find a grease that maybe isn't so sticky and nasty, because I hate opening that stuff up and getting it on my hands, and it's like everywhere. It's like glue. So I get it, guys. But I am going to be working on some stuff to try and find something a little bit different that maybe doesn't spread around like it does. It's kind of so weird. It's sticky, but it's not. So,
yeah, it's an interesting stuff. I agree. It's
yeah.
You know, I know how, I see how it can happen. You know, it's just
and I'm like here using my Google Translate over the Chinese lettering, trying to figure out what the spec sheet says.
Isn't that handy though? Like that automatic translation on
oh yeah
phone. Oh, it's so good.
Most times it works.
It's usually pretty close. I'm a pretty big fan, but
it's 9 kilogram of ham. What is a 9 kilogram of ham? What is? All right.
We were looking at machine drawings the other day for another machining center, and it's all in Japanese. I'm like going over it. I'm like, the body is gray color. Like get, but yes, it's always a fun.
That's actually that. I was able to use that Google Translate Japanese because of this car. I had all the auction sheets and I have all the service papers and stuff. So, dude, it's been awesome. I just go right over the top of it. Timing belt was changed at 62,000 kilometers. You know, this and this and that. So that's been awesome.
Where'd that car come out of?
It came out of, the guy bought it. He's a military guy.
Yeah.
And he bought it in Osaka, Japan in 2018. And then he was transferred or moved, or whatever they call it. I'm not good on the military stuff, but he moved to Portland, Oregon, and he had it there. He put it on eBay, and it sat on eBay for about 2 months, and nobody was biting on the price that he was asking for it. So I did the sneaky eBay messaging where I threw my email and phone number in a picture and then attached it in the message, because, you know, they can't read that. You're not allowed to share the funny part was he sent it back and said, cool car. I was like, no, look closely at the picture. And then I got a text from him and he's like, oh, I get it. So we got to talking and stuff, and flew up to Portland and I bought it. So this is my high school dream car. I got to ride in one when I was 15 years old, and I always wanted one. And then through the years, I've kind of had them and kind of didn't have them. Now I sold my Datsun 620, my pickup truck, to help fund this. And now I got my dream car. Some people have a 69 Camaro or a 57 Chevy. Mine happens to be an 86 Toyota Corolla Coupe, but you know, that's what it is. So yeah, it's been fun.
You know, us video game kids.
Right.
Yeah, it holds a place for all of us, even if I say I don't know what car it is. But
right. Well, I get all the Initial D fanboys like, "Where's the cup holder? You don't have your cup holder for your water." Like, okay, I gotta get that.
I did have a couple of questions in here. Fistful of Throttle RC, thank you. SCX6 roller with option parts installed, like an Arma EXB. That's
pretty. What were you gonna say?
Well, it'd be interesting just on the fact of like the option part side of it, because that would, you know, if you were going to develop option parts and such, I think there's always things you can do in option parts. You know, I do think that the truck was outfitted fairly well out of the gate. The links are ridiculous.
I know, dude. They were gonna be even bigger. I actually shrunk those down in size. They were ridiculous.
You didn't take the freaking hole out of the center, or thread them the right way. But whatever.
I leave that in there for you. That's the main reason. I said Josh hates those holes. Make sure you got the hole in those links. But you know, that's for a manufacturing reason. It makes it easier for them to pop them on and make sure they get on right. Otherwise, I've seen vendors where they've just held that turnbuckle and slammed the rod ends on. So, yeah, that's not.
I'm skipping a couple. I'll come back to them. But one of the things in here is someone asked, why not bind and drive? Now, you guys have you pulled back a little bit from bind and drives?
Yeah, the 5T is still bind and drive.
Okay.
I think, we tried doing bind and drive about 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and it did not go very well, but I don't think there was enough people running the equipment and understanding the ability to be able to just bind something to it.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know if it's going to come back. I know there's been some discussion about it because they would hope some of these people with all all these rugged radios that are out there and the DX5 Pros and that type of stuff, that maybe they'll go down that path. But I'm just not sure. The 5T, dude, I just got one. I mean, you could see it right there. I just got one, and I forgot it didn't come with a transmitter. I'm like opening the box, like, where's the transmitter? Oh shoot, that's right. This thing's bind and drive. I completely forgot about that. So that one's been our bind and drive, but I'm not sure if we're going to do one of those yet. It's tough because bind and drive would mean it has to come with a receiver, and I think what these guys are wanting is everything but a receiver and a transmitter in it because they want to throw their Futaba or Airtronics or whatever.
Or I mean, even if they do have a Spectrum already, but I guess part of it is like I'm not getting into actual pricing of things, but I have to imagine that this radio at the volume you guys are doing is not a terribly expensive item to come in the trucks.
Yeah, it's definitely not, but because they got to be RTR radios, but it is one of our better RTR radios, though. That's for sure.
By multi-channel, it's got the telemetry and all that. I agree. Not saying obviously me being a Futaba person, normally it's still it's a comfortable radio. The battery life is good. It's got the telemetry. All things that I appreciate especially for a radio that comes with the truck. But it's like you take out a radio and people expect a price drop like the cost of their
$300.
DX3. It's just like, it's not that expensive for what it is. And then it looks like you get considerably less.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
I can see how like sometimes that doesn't make as much sense when when you're trying to decide those things.
Yeah, but it's, as being with Vanquish and that stuff, it's so challenging to come up with what gets included, what doesn't included, what the perception is going to be. There's a perceived value. Like some people are happy to get like the old Axial kits that had all that crap in there. All the leftover parts trees. I thought it was crap, but there was some people that were like, "Oh my god, dude! It came with all the spare and all these extra parts that most people didn't use, other than the horns." I know Josh likes to put the horns on all his stuff.
Yeah, I have the horns and ammo boxes glued on all of my scale trucks.
Right. See, but then and then we stopped doing it because it actually became an issue for the vendor, and then we got people asking, "Where is it?" Not a lot of people. But that's where some of these things, I mean, it's interesting and fun dealing with some of our consumers because everybody's passionate about a certain part.
That was the most polite way anyone has ever said that.
Well, it's just the truth. Now, do I MF some of our consumers? Oh, you're damn right I do when I see some of their contents. But hey, I get it. You guys are passionate. I
get it too. And you know what? It sucks when something doesn't go right, when it's something you spent money on. I get it. I've ran into it in whatever other thing that we all deal with daily. I get it, and I don't fault them for. Sometimes I fault some people and their approaches, but we I don't internalize it. A lot of us we externalize it, but in private with others, and then we handle it professionally, and you go on. But yes, it's
it's just when you have those people that say they did it on purpose.
Exactly.
They do it to sell more parts. It's like, guys, do you really think we're thinking, all right, great, we could sell a $10 part if we just ruin this and give them a hard time, and then they're not going to want to come back and buy it, or they're going to want to be pissed off on social media about Axial this or Losi that or whatever it is. No, it's the furthest thing from us. I mean, you and I are both still passionate RC guys, and we want to provide the best product we can, as good as possible, but life happens, crap happens, and you could try and check every damn box you can think of, and something's still going to happen, and that one guy's going to get it, and he's just going to blow up the internet with it now. So it's a bit of a challenge.
It is absolutely the case, and you know what? It's just it's what you end up having to deal with. And, half the time it's
Yeah.
like they did it on purpose. It's like, well, it cost us more in the customer service time than it would have to.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, guys. I am grateful to get to do what I do. I'm not trying to cry and complain about you guys or whatever. It's nothing like that. It's just a thing of it's just some of the stuff that we deal with. And it's like, man, sometimes you just like, come on, guys. You really think we do that on purpose? But hey, and it is what it is. And we work through it and go from there.
And the other thing, sometimes it's just like you do whatever you do for however long beforehand. And then it comes out and then like something happens or breaks. And you're just like, how? Like, how did that happen? Like
the worm gears. We've talked about it before.
Oh my God.
Worm gears on the comp crawler. That freaking idiot flipping the tool and cutting it backwards and like, oh, never mind. Flipping it around and throwing it in the box. However those machines work. I don't know what the jig was or whatever he did. He programmed it backwards or something.
That one, when that comp crawler came out and the CVDs got cut down into the neck and got 10 feet out of the CVDs and you steer and they go pop, pop.
Snap. Dude, I remember when that came out and I saw that starting to happen. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And then I grab a production kit and my son, who's like 2 years old, I give it to him and I tell him, turn the tire. He's all pink. Like, oh my God. I don't even remember those 6 weeks of my life because I was sending out free parts like nonstop because customer service couldn't even keep up. Because that was kind of like when we had like a surface team in Ontario. And it was only a couple of the guys. And I was like, you know what? They're not watching the crawler boards. And I was like, I'll take care of it. So, dude. And then I have Josh over there. Oh, see, they got into the things wrong. They're probably using wrong steel and blah, blah, blah. Freaking kill me, man. But rightfully deserved. I get it.
It just sucks.
Damn, you were brutal.
Oh, it's like, do I ever regret any of that stuff? I don't know. I guess I'm just
I don't think you do.
I'm dead inside.
Yeah,
but
you are. And I've gotten used to that.
You're right.
Yeah. I'm just used to it.
TGH had also said, thank you. We missed it. Spent the day for. I'm sure that was a response to something that I don't fully understand now. I apologize. And Rap Graphics, thank you for your donation. There was a couple of other good questions in here. Let's see. I guess a lot of this was talking about the radio, and just the cost of it. It's like the DX3, even with receiver, less than $100, and just the cost savings for a lot of the binding drives it would be hard to fully understand, or make. It's like there's a fully RTR one for $1,100, and there's a binding drive one for $999. Like now that might be one of those times when it's like, ooh, because it's a whole number, it's a whole decimal place less,
right?
Or
but even at that, what a lot of people forget too is that we all are into it, so we understand when it's bind and drive what it means. But when you have a consumer, first time guy or a newer guy coming in and says, "Hey, I want to get an SBG, and the dealer says, "Well, you can get this one, but it doesn't come with a radio, and you're gonna have to do this, and you're gonna have to do this and do this." It intimidates a lot of people and they walk away from it.
Right.
If you can just say, hey, this thing is ready to go, throw a battery in and go have fun, it's worth it to most people.
And the binding or the SCX6 at the same time, it's just like if a shop then has to carry both of those, the floor space, the upfront cost to have them both there, like I could see
different transmitters. I mean, sometimes some carry rugged, some don't. I mean, there's so much inventory involved in doing that.
I mean, I could just see that being a very difficult kit to have such a wide variety of SKUs on. Like the narrow approach for that, that's I could see it. Like when you guys do the SCX 6x6, so. That box will be. I definitely won't be able to fit that box in the back of the Jeep either. when my sample showed up, I sent Rich a picture of me trying to put the SCX6 box into the bed of my Jeep, and it wouldn't fit under the tonneau cover.
Oh man,
had to pull it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we'll get out of the way though. because I know I saw some people asking. It's not going to be a 6 scale size Capra. Just stop. No.
Oh, people were thinking that with the teaser today?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. I saw people saying that and saying it's going to be an SEX Capra 6 scale. I'm like, oh boy, no. Think about it too. We wouldn't release back to back on 6 scales if we were going to do that anyways. It's too close to the Jeep coming out. So
yeah.
That's some of the other stuff we do too. We try to time all our releases. So hopefully by the time you're bored with the Jeep, we have something else coming out. Hopefully.
Yeah. I could,
but I'm not saying we are.
I'm just trying to think of all the 1997 Dodge Ram body. That's what I'm really holding out for.
I'm telling you, dude, if you make that Ram Charger,
everyone
all my friends will buy it. Everybody's going to buy it.
I think in 1995 is usually the year I try and use, but 97, I'm updating it for the times.
Right. And I'm sorry, you Dodge guys, but I'm sorry. No.
Oh, yes. 6x6x6. Yeah.
No way.
Oh, that thing would be absolutely insanely big.
It would be crazy.
Oh,
it'd be crazy.
Tony CCXRC, thank you, sir. Thanks for saving me $70 today. Harley 10 for the win. I'd have given you more, but you're responsible for me spending 10 times that when you saved me. Yes. Tony got himself one of those little vacuum formers that I got. So I got a little home vacuum forming machine, which is
I saw that thing. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yes.
I actually watch your stories and see some of your posts. And I even like your posts, but you know what? You don't like any of my posts.
Is that true? That's
I watch you. I know what you're doing. I looked through them like, one of these days.
One of these days it's gonna
Matt likes my posts. He's always on there. But even if I mention Josh, nothing.
No.
Whatever, dude.
I'm just saying it's all those tags that I get.
I just like giving you a hard time.
Oh my god. That's yours is all mountain biking and tercels, and I
killing me, man. Yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah. The what was the other one up here? First time buying. If it's your first time buying $1,100 truck. It's an interesting question because someone who's not
happens.
I think that someone who's not into RC is almost as likely or more likely to be the person walking in and buying that SCX6.
Hell yeah, because they're like, holy crap, that's the biggest thing. Dude, look at this thing about.
It's huge. It looks like a vehicle that they know. It's super impressive. If they're coming from the side-by-side world or full-size Jeeping, it's like $1,100. I'm like, well, sweet. I can't buy half a set of tires for that, or I can't buy a new steering ram for that, or
shoot. I mean, even recovery kits are getting $500, $600 now. It's like,
or a nice winch can be more. That's just like,
right.
It's everything's relative. It's like $1,100 is an expensive RC car, but if your hobby is normally even much more expensive than that, it's like, oh, I can have this thing for what I was thinking about spending, or less than what I was thinking about spending this month on hobby stuff. So
I watched a video of some guys, and I don't know what their background is. I think they're like fab guys. They have the YouTube channel, and they were, I don't know, they dirt bikes. I'm not even sure what it was, but all of a sudden they decided they were going to go buy Super Baja Rays, but they didn't know that they were going to go buy Super Baja Rays. They went to this shop like, we're going to go buy some RC cars. They looked at it, said, oh man, look at that King truck. And then I like that yellow one. Let me get each one of those. And then what about batteries? And the guy's like, oh, well, you want this and this and this. Dude, they dropped like $2,000 on the spot with zero RC experience and didn't even know what they were coming in for. But they saw that it was like the baddest, biggest trucks that were there, and they went for it. So it's a prime example of you, and that's what my job is. It's supposed to be enticing to more than just our RC crawler guys. It's everybody who wants to come in and get something that's cool.
You can't always sell only to the people in the community already. It's It's you have to have that for sure. So
Yeah.
the
Well,
I
look at the
you know I think
lowrider.
that look at the lowrider. I mean it's a great example. I mean obviously Red Cat saw success in that platform, and I've talked
Yeah.
to Oscar, who now is at Red Cat. He does a lot of the Red Cat live stuff now. Oscar
Mm.
used to be up here in the Bay Area, and he was one of the two guys who started ASD Crawlers, which is a big organization up here that is
Mm-hmm.
mainly like focused on raising money for helping
Oh yeah, they have
with
that
autism
cancer thing too,
awareness
right?
and the autism
Yeah, the
awareness.
autism. That's what it was. Yeah.
And Oscar's a great dude, and Brandon was his partner in that organization up here. But he left this area and went down to Arizona, and he's now with Red Cat. And talking to him at some of the events, he was just talking like, yeah, that's the lowrider stuff has been super popular. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're pushing it, and going to come out with more. And now we see that with the new Monte Carlo, and
Yeah.
it's a different world. It
It's yeah, and on top of that, they've enticed people that are outside of that world wanting to get it because it looks so cool that it does it. I have friends that are offered guys that like, hey, do you guys sell that Red Cat lowrider? I'm like, well, no, we don't. But
Oh, you're breaking up for a minute there.
it's cool.
You went full Mr.
I,
Robot for a
I give
second.
Red Cat credit. They
Oh yeah,
nailed it. It's really got to break.
yeah, a little bit. But no,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
think Red Cat absolutely deserves the credit for one diving into the tooling of something completely outside of the box. It's taking a gamble on it, and developing some things that were like they developed that radio for it. Obviously, it's a base of a radio that existed, but then they did the programming
Yeah.
for it. They put the little lowrider style switches on it.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yeah, they did a nice job. I give them credit on that.
So, yeah, they got it done. So like who would have guessed it? And the first one was $600, and now this second one is $469, I think. So big drop. It's a different style chassis, 4 servos, or 4 hydraulic or suspension servos now versus 3. Yeah, just all over all kinds of interesting things. So
Yeah, for sure.
Gunnerness, thank you, sir. I'll build a 1/6 6x6 if you cut me some carbon rails. I don't think that my router is long enough to do carbon rails for a SCX 6x6. We'd have to
Holy cow.
we'd have to be gluing them together. Just
Well, you know what's crazy now? Someone's going to do it because they heard this conversation. Someone's going to do it, but it's not going to be me.
You know what? I do have access to a 4x8 router at the audio shop I go hang out at quite a bit. It's
Holy
not
cow.
a terrible idea. It's a big sheet of carbon though. We're gonna need like 5 or 6 millimeter carbon. That's just
That's crazy.
so. And yeah, Gordon, cool, thank you, sir. Hey, Tony, Gordon's messages is there. You go, Tony. Gordon here's with that old time RC. He's the one. He's got a message there for you. So yeah, that's it will be interesting to see customization happening with the SCX6.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm just dreading it. Because you know how it's going to be. I'm breaking drive shafts now. I'm breaking ring and pinions. Well, you just dropped 25 pounds more of weight on your vehicle and you're sending it off of a cliff. Or whatever. This is going to break now.
It does. It brings in a whole different type of understanding. I mean, people's expectations don't necessarily scale appropriately,
right,
with the volume of this truck. So
yeah. Well, dude, when I first started testing, and the first time I drove it and I rolled it off the side of this waterfall thing, my instant reaction was to reach for it with my left arm, and it almost pulled my arm out of the socket. And I was like, okay, we're never going to do that big. So yeah, you start adding, 20 pounds of brass weight on this thing, and Jesus, now it's going to be
Oh, and
big boulder rolling down
when I
the
was
hill.
driving it in Nevada, like yeah, we were like kind of got up and out of the way so people couldn't see it, and you're just like when it rolls, just don't just try and stop it. Like you'll you'll understand. I'm like okay, and so that it's that's no joke. But you get so used to driving it and feeling the weight of that thing moving around that it does change how you drive. And so I'm waiting for Rich to possibly unfreeze, but we'll see. And Scott O'Blander, thank you, sir. Always good to hear Rich's perspective. Thanks for having him on. Ask him what I can do with these three
that's been the
Viteras.
most rewarding part. Oh, am I still frozen?
You're coming back now. Finally, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yep, coming back finally.
So, commit or don't, no halfway. Yeah, that is absolutely true. With that truck, you want to just. I remember I think I was driving it with some test pieces on it initially. Maybe some plastic compounds hadn't been 100% decided, but I remember
I remember that.
I snapped apart, and the sound of it was just like, oh, like that.
Yeah.
It was violent.
I think it was the rear bumper.
It was a rear bumper. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rear bumper, and he dropped it off that edge of that little ledge there at a perfect angle, and it went pow. It was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Good job on that.
So.
But what I was trying to say when I froze up was really enjoying the new experience of what it is. Not to it's like, oh, we make the best pot, whatever. It's been fun to watch people really have fun driving a different size crawler. It's a different experience, and so I'm stoked that people are having fun with that. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'll be one of those ones that builds. Like a lot of trucks have a big release, they're exciting, and then they, the popularity of them just kind of keeps, it may even almost, kind of just more and more people get them, but like the buzz of them doesn't necessarily keep built. I think the SCX6, I tried to say it in the video, but you can only be accused of being a page shill so many times, but it's one of those things like you have to experience that truck to fully understand. And that's a hard part of it. So
I'm really curious to see, because in our industry it's the copycats after that. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out from all these Chinese vendors and all these other places when they start making stuff, because the challenge of making this thing robust enough to hold up and then to have a system that could power it was, dude, that was such a pain in the butt with this thing. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know how easy it's going to be for some of these people to make a copy,
You know what?
It'll be interesting.
I think what will happen is, back in the day, did you ever drive the 1/5 scale Red Cat scale truck?
Yes.
I think that we will see that type of thing happen, where they basically just overextend something and it's just big and floppy, but in a photo it just looks like, hey, look at how big this truck is, and it's only a third of the price.
Yeah, I could definitely. Yeah, I bet you're right.
Oh, you're fully frozen.
Before we started, Emma. I'm sorry, dude. I know what it is too. Hang on a second here. It's my security cameras keep going off.
Oh, that would make sense.
Sucking the bandwidth.
And so, the question, I think the clawback is what that thing was called from Red Cat, and that was definitely the thing. And I think that that thing had its issues, and it just wasn't competing against anything. It was just meant to be big and impressive looking.
Right.
So,
it definitely piqued my curiosity when I saw it. I didn't even know at the time that they had one when we were discussing the project. The project had been on the books for a long time, and it got shut down by quite a few people who didn't want to do it. And then finally, there was a point where we were able to just go ahead and do it, and we did it. So, but I did try that Red Cat thing out before. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
mean, I
It
think
was just for impressive dollar size, and that was it. But once you got it, like, ooh, man, this thing's terrible.
I think I drove that thing in like 2017, maybe.
Yeah,
Something like that. It was a long time ago, but it was an MOA with just a huge Lexan body on it. That was
yeah,
like a,
big old spacers on it.
yeah, looked like a Chevy
Yeah.
Avalanche.
Yeah.
We should before I've got to film a video for a new release after this still, but we should get an update on your neighbor situation.
Oh yeah. All right. Are we better on the internet now? Is the connection
Yes,
better?
you're back to a reasonable quality.
I'm sorry, dude. We'll get this figured out next time. Neighbors. It got really rough at the end, guys. Holy cow, did it get bad. The guy pretty much lost his mind, and the entire neighborhood was kind of trapped in their houses because this guy was just he was telling people that he was seeing people in the trees. It was crazy. We don't know if he was a combination of drugs and craziness, but once it was finally evicted from the house and the landlords let us in, every door in that house was broken in half.
Ooh.
Every wall had been punched out, like drywall had giant holes because he kept saying that there were spirits inside the walls. Dude, it was tough when they actually finally left. I mean, he was still hanging out in front of the house for a while before they finally had to tell him you're trespassed from the property. So that's how bad it was, guys. It wasn't just me being a big baby about a neighbor making noise with their fire smoke alarm. These people were a freaking nightmare.
Yeah.
So they are gone. It's finally, dude. It literally reminds me of like you see cartoons or you see a thing of like the springtime.
Everybody can come out of their house and
everybody's outside in the sun. Like literally, all my neighbors are open. Yeah, everybody's outside. Like, yeah, go see you. It's like, yeah, they're finally gone. So the good news, and due to the way that things are now, they have a ton of applicants, and they're being very careful because every neighbor pretty much came over and said, "Look, we've had 6 years of nightmares between the two people that you've had renting this house. You got to figure it out because your neighbor next door is going to be a nightmare. You park extra cars, you leave trash, you do this, you do that. I will be calling all the time."
right.
And they're like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Tell them because I'm over it. We're not going to do that stuff no more." So, yeah, there was some pretty wild stories and some wild endings there that we never got a chance to talk about. But yeah, it was whole. I mean, you and Matt got privy, and I sent pictures and stories and stuff
Just
like
that.
that.
In our group chat, we'd be like, oh.
Dude, it was pretty bad. It was so bad. He took the caps off the brick wall.
The delay on that one was pretty good there. I think it's still going.
That was behind me. Luckily, it wasn't my wall. It was the wall behind him. So they have like those nice little pieces at the end of the wall where it breaks up in sections. He took those. Oh shit! Sorry.
But we got like a part of that story in the end, but regardless, I am going
I'll
to
tell you what. Why don't we save it for next time?
We will when Matt is here to fully appreciate it as well. But I'm going to cut that off and I'm going to end this here shortly after. And
my apologies, guys. Next time, I'll come on with some better internet and we'll have a better time. And we'll have a way better time because Matt will be there. So
yeah.
Whatever.
All right. Good talking to you, Rich. We'll catch up soon.
All right, Josh. I'll talk to you later.
Later. Bye. All right. Back to normal setup. So anyway, yes, always good to have Rich in. And I knew that, we hadn't really got to catch up on SCX6 stuff. And that's such an outside of the norm release that was, there's so much to talk about with projects like that. And luckily Rich will, there's so many things that go on in the background of the stuff like that. It's always interesting to hear different perspectives, because obviously it's going to be different from my day to day, with Rich's day to day, the whole thing. That's just a fun perspective to see, and to get to understand a little bit of what goes on in the background, like that SCX6 being a 2-year project for something like that, and just by the time it comes out, you almost think that it's you almost think it's an old project. You've been looking at it for so long that it feels so much differently. But you finally get to see other people experiencing the projects, which is it's kind of a crazy thing. I was being myself, just being a hobbyist for so long, and then coming in to actually being in the industry. It is wild to experience kind of the backside of the development and the fun of that whole thing, and then coming into actually getting to see people using the final products. I kind of had a little bit of that as before I was full-time in the industry. I did a lot of work on development and parts and design stuff for other companies. I did some stuff for Axial, and then I worked with like TCS crawlers a bunch for several years, and a few other companies. But it never gets old still seeing that thing. My SCX6 is still brand new looking. Well, that's, it's not very old, but I could see that. We definitely do want to get out to the lake. There's a get together out at Folsom Lake this weekend. And if I've got time and I catch up on everything else enough, then that's, it's something I'd like to go do. Take out the SCX6, possibly take out something new from Axial that's possibly coming out tomorrow that definitely hasn't been hinted so much. How long was the 410 Origin top secret for? Oh, that's a good one. Man, that was, with everything on that, it was about a year probably, with everything and how that went. Now, that was a little bit of a different deal because we produced so much of it in-house, and then had, parts of it done overseas, and then combined it all. So it was, it's different than what most companies do for a release of a product. But even then, I remember going out and shooting product photos with Brad Perry, who's a local up here, and he lived in Tahoe at the time. And I drove up there, and Nicole and I both did. And we went and we took photos all around the Tahoe area. And we were like placing the truck, and we were doing sunrise photos at Emerald Bay, which is like a famous area at Lake Tahoe. And we got out there at like, I don't know, 4 a.m. or 4:30, whatever it was, so that we had everything set up to do these sunrise shots. And I remember just sitting there, and Brad and I had the truck set up. He had his camera, and he was doing like some long exposure stuff, playing around with some of that. And we were just kind of sitting. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and in the darkness, a guy just walks around the corner like with his girlfriend. He goes, "Oh, is that an Axial?" Just like, what? Like, snuck up on us for one, and I can be jumpy anyway. 2, he's evidently knows RC crawling or scale trucks enough. He kept walking, and Brad and I just looked at each other and were just like, how did that happen? Like, so, Josh, when was the Phoenix put on paper versus when it actually came out? Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one to, it's a continuation of another, of the 410 line. And so that's a hard one. I mean, it's still a long project with, especially with the transmission stuff and all that. And it was just, so yeah, I don't know what I could say for it, a timeline, but they're all too, every time I'm sure Rich does the same. Like if you're trying to find something to post from what's in your phone, and you're just like, can I post that photo? Can I post? It's like trying to remember, like how old, when can I actually post this? But regardless. But like I said, it's 8 o'clock. I have a video to shoot of a project to release tomorrow morning. So I'm going to cut you guys off here. 8 o'clock. That's the same amount of time that me and Matt would normally do. So I want to thank a bunch of people here. Brian Harrison, thank you. Blind Guy RC, Ron Starner, Jimmy Two Horses, Brent Hevner, Team Garage Hack, Brian Sherwood, Jeremiah Salberg, Lesco Brandon, Blind Guy RC, Steady Spin, Fistful of Throttle, Wrapped Graphics, CCX RC, Arthur Eastridge. I didn't see his comment. I missed it before. It said, Matt likes Rich's posts. Matt gets SCX6 first. Coincidence? I see what you did there. Gunnerness and Gordon Cool and Scott O. Blander. Thank you all. Much appreciated. Hope you guys have a good rest of the night. I have a lot of work to get done. So we will see you next week. Oh yeah, Checkered Past said it for me since Matt's not here. Love you. Bye. Let's see you guys.